Hi, this is Bix Weir with road2ruta.com for your February 10th Roadside Chat. Today we're going to talk about all the excitement in the silver market because silver got over $18. Woohoo! Humdinger! Is that sad or what? That's how bad the sentiment in the silver market has gotten after the last 4 years of price suppression. Not to mention 4 decades, not to mention since the 1850s. But let's think on the bright side. Silver hit 18 bucks. It probably won't stay there. But $18 was a number that all those silver bugs got excited about. Why? Why is silver still sitting at $18 when gold is way past its all-time highs set in the 80s? Of course, it went up to $1,900 and then came back down, but it's still at $12.50 or so. Yet silver is still trading at a fraction of its all-time highs from 2011, which was orchestrated by J.P. Morgan, and back all the way back to the 1980s. So why is silver still in the doldrums? It's very simple. The electronic manipulation and price suppression of silver. And it's so easy to see, it's almost embarrassing. The amount of silver traded on the COMEX, which is, there's only really two markets for silver. One is the COMEX in New York, and the other is the LBMA in London. The COMEX is a futures and options exchange, whereas the LBMA, nobody really knows what it is. It's all secret. It's an association. It's not even an exchange, but they claim to be an exchange that trades in physical silver. Now, just looking at the COMEX, the average monthly volume on the COMEX for silver in 2016 was 275 million ounces every single day of futures and options. 275 million ounces every day supposedly trade hands back and forth to set the price of silver. And when you multiply that times the amount of business days there are in 2016, that gives you a grand total of 70 billion ounces of electronic silver were traded on the COMEX in 2016. Is that ridiculous or what? And just to put it into perspective, I know Jeffrey Christian and other people have said, oh my God, it's leveraged 100 to 1. It is not leveraged 100 to 1. The leverage, and we can figure out what the leverage is on the COMEX by looking at how much registered silver is in inventory versus how much silver is traded every year. And the average inventory registered silver is 30 million ounces at the COMEX warehouses. That was the average for 2016, right around there. So if you have 70 billion ounces of electronic silver trading with only 30 million ounces in the registered inventory, that gives you a ratio of 2,333 to 1 leveraged used on the COMEX. That's leverage of electronic silver versus the physical stuff in the registered category. And I don't even believe all that registered category would be available at any price. So, it's up to the person selling the silver that is owned to get rid of it at the price they want. And clearly, very few people will be getting rid of 30 million ounces of physical silver at the $18 price. So, yeah, that's where the price is rigged on the COMEX, but it's also rigged on the lovely LBMA. The LBMA, London Bullion Market Association, is not an exchange. It's an association. They keep trying to tell the world that that's where the physical market is. But it's so clear from their volumes that it's not a physical market either. Around 200 million ounces, theoretically, are net transferred every day on the LBMA. And you factor out those numbers, and it comes out to a little less than what is going on at the COMEX. Now, wait a minute. Net ounces transferred gives you the idea that more ounces are transferred than the net, obviously, or it wouldn't be net. It'd be gross ounces transferred. And in actuality, here's what they claim. This guy named Peter Smith of J.P. Morgan, of course, executive director of metals trading, in 2009 wrote an article for the Alchemist magazine, which is a magazine. It's a monthly magazine at the LBMA. And what he wrote in this magazine is that these numbers aren't real. These numbers are a fraction of the real amount of physical silver that trades hands, silver and gold. What he said in that article is more than 3 times the amount trade every day on a gross basis, and in volatile times, it's a lot more than 3 times. So here we have another market that claims to be trading in the probably around 100 billion ounces of physical silver, and they claim it's physical silver transfers. And that's what the CFTC has based all 3 of their silver market manipulation investigations on, is the fact that the COMEX futures and options price was in line with the LBMA price, with the LBMA claiming to transfer over 100 billion ounces of silver when there hasn't even been 100 billion ounces of silver ever mined in the history of the world. It's kind of hard to swallow that one. So the rigging of the markets continue, and everybody who asks me, Bix, how can you come up with such big numbers for silver? $1,000 silver per ounce, $10,000 silver per ounce, $100,000 silver per ounce. The reality is, because there is no physical exchange dedicated solely to the buying and selling of physical silver for cash, for money, it's all derivatives and all manipulated. We don't know what the price of silver is, and we haven't known it for decades. So I come to these numbers by assuming at some point in time we will have free markets again, and the electronic futures, options, and derivatives that are traded now will be gone and destroyed, most likely through a derivative implosion, with the restarting of markets in physical only, because there will be no trust at all in futures and options and swaptions and the 50 million other derivatives that are traded back and forth on a daily basis. Now, none of this includes the OTC market, which is over-the-counter market of silver derivatives, basically privately negotiated contracts between a buyer and seller, mostly the bullion banks, on swapping out silver in warehouses at the U.S. Mint is a great example. They hedge their metal when they're supposed to be providing it in quantities to meet demand. They're playing the hedge game too, as supported by their banker controllers. So yeah, silver market's a mess, but the excitement around $18 is just cracking me up, and it should crack you up too, because they don't even know what's going to hit them. As soon as this manipulation ends, the $18 will be seen as the mother of all gifts. So load up on physical silver, back the truck up, sell everything you own in gold, which is a completely opposite story. There's a lot of physical gold out there. Sell your gold, buy silver, buy Bitcoin in even greater quantities, because for a million reasons, and I've gone into them. Check out my other videos for that. But Bitcoin's about to rock and roll. Silver is about to rock and roll. And we're getting near the end, so you better position yourself properly for the coming literal moonshot of silver prices and Bitcoin prices. This is Bix Weir. Go to roadtoruta.com, put in your email. Make sure you subscribe to this video channel, because I'm posting things much more frequent than I have in the past. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you next week.